From the OUTV Broadcast Center in Los Angeles, California, this is Brief News Brief, a brief look at today's trending news topics, proudly combating the thought police since 2016. Here's your host, James Heaney.
I'm James Heaney, and this is your Brief News Briefing. Yesterday, it finally happened. The redacted version of the Mueller Report came out. Now, many people believed that this report was going to be so redacted, there's no way we'd find any damning evidence. There wouldn't even be a whole damn sentence. But anyone who thought that was wrong. It's a doozy. Remarkably, Bill Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, compromised his integrity and came out swinging in defense of the president rather than representing the country in this hot-button issue. This is all being completely overshadowed by the document dump of the Mueller Report. Nobody's paying attention to the circus act that's going on that is the Attorney General. Bill Barr is still the acting Attorney General. Is that not concerning to you? He clearly rose to this position just to do President Trump's bidding. Who knows what he's doing now that he's not busy redacting the Mueller Report? Now, while anybody right now who's got a thirst for knowledge is busy, they're distracted. They're digesting the unredacted pieces of the Mueller Report. Congress, on the other hand, is ready for the whole damn thing. And hey, throw in the evidence, because we want it all. Now, what did we learn from the Mueller Report? Well, this is Brief News Brief, so we'll have to keep it brief. But we did learn, in fact, that a sitting president cannot be indicted. So while in office, the President of the United States is temporarily above the law. Presumably, this is because arresting the president could really cause turbulence to society, and that drastic steps like that in a democracy are left to governing bodies, not just small groups of individuals, governing bodies like Congress. Congress could do something. They need a super majority to impeach the president, which is a larger body of oversight, having a supermajority. It's a larger body of oversight than even just, say, one guy that's Attorney General. It's also a much more political body, so there's still more likely opportunities for corruption to occur than just one guy fighting for justice. God, if we only had just one guy fighting for us on our side. While many people wonder, is it even worth fighting for justice with an election coming up? Perhaps we should just let the election decide. Hold out for a while. Many people feel that we've reached an ending to this whole Trump-Russia thing, and we're probably, and it's not that we're reaching the end, it's more likely that we're reaching a new dawn of understanding. No doubt many people are going to come before Congress to answer questions. There's going to be dozens of related cases, and they're still working their way. We're not even finding, I'm sure that we don't even know about some of them. They're working their way through the Justice Department now. History will one day look back on this whole thing and think, wait a second, what was John Bolton up to?
Hi, I'm John Bolton, National Security Advisor for the Trump administration.
Are you ready?
Thank you for joining me.
Mayday.
This is my brand new series where I tell you about my brand new book, This Russia Thing.
John Bolton?
I suppose it's a good time for me to really tell all.
Tell us all.
You're not in danger.
Okay.
Bolton, like you've never seen him before.
Maybe he likes to get peed on. Probably not true. Let's learn more.
Interesting. Let's learn more.
If we could kill journalists here, we would have never had this problem with the Russia thing in the first place. Am I right?
This Russia thing coming May 1st.
Yesterday, the Kremlin announced that Putin and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un will meet in Russia later this month. Now, as you might remember, the nuclear negotiations between I hear what you're saying. Did you just correct me? It's nuclear. No, that's what I said. This always happens when somebody's like, no, James, it's nuclear. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I said, nuclear. No, it's nuclear. I said it right. Just leave me alone. The nuclear negotiations between North Korea and the United States have stalled out since the last round of talks in Hanoi fell apart, which sent Trump home to the USA on an early trip home. No commemorative coin, no peace treaty, no deal. Now, Kim and Putin are believed to have never had met each other, which is strange, right? This is Donald Trump's two BFFs on the world stage. These are the two guys that he's blowing kisses to every night before he closes his eyes and goes off to Dreamland. And they don't know each other. And now they want to start hanging out. This might be dangerous. They might not know. Does Kim and Trump and Putin all know about each other? There's a love triangle of dictators going on here. And I'm not saying Trump's a dictator, but there's at least two in this triangle. Can we agree on that? And of all times, now's when they want to start hanging out. This is when Kim is talking about getting his nuke game back up and running. Trump is on the hot seat. And we can agree to disagree, but for at the very least, he's on the hot seat for being collusion curious with a foreign adversary, with Russia, one of the two dicks in this triangle here. Just this week, North Korea announced that it was done talking to Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. North Korea claims that Pompeo has been letting loose reckless remarks and sophism of all kinds against them every day. North Korea has been pushing for more sanctions relief in exchange for denuclearization, while the U.S. has demanded greater evidence that the country is prepared to reduce its nuclear arsenal. Meanwhile, Kim and Putin are ready to set a first date. I suppose it's unlikely that the public's going to have any idea what they talk about, since we're not even allowed to know what Trump and Putin are talking about when they meet. But I don't know. I'm not part of the Secret Service, and I don't do spy stuff often, but have they considered getting an agent up close with a cup? They're drinking a cup, hanging out like they're supposed to be there, gulp it down, put it to the door, and listen close. Just saying. Sometimes it's a simple method that gets you the intel. I'm so sick and effing tired of all these effing snakes on my effing roof. This week, in Detroit, an 18-foot-long snake showed up on someone's roof, and her name was Juliet. Ooh, she sounds pretty, right? Am I crazy, or is this the prettiest snake you've heard of? It's a non-venomous species native to Southeast Asia. It's the longest snake in the world. Well, I mean, I'm not saying this one is. I'm saying that breed of snake is the longest in the world, and she's Juliet. She's the equivalent of tall, if tall slithered. She's actually the pet to a 25-year-old Detroit resident named Devin. And it sounds like Juliet escaped her cage somehow and went out to go wander the neighborhood when she gets scared and, like a cat, sought refuge on a roof. Neighbors spotted the snake and became shocked and frightened. So, of course, they called all their friends and gathered in a mob, an angry mob with pitchforks and torches. Even the cops showed up. It felt like it was an Edward Scissorhands moment where they're chasing him back up to his castle. Cops tried to arrest the snake. Turns out a snake can get through a handcuff like that. It was a wild scene, I'll tell you that much. So it was causing a disturbance. They couldn't arrest it with handcuffs, so they were shouting at the snake. Get the damn snake off the damn roof! I don't know what they said, but that was their answers. They were going to scare it off the roof. Well, all this shouting, crowds, and commotion was super stressful for Juliet. She did not dig it. Devin wasn't around when the scene broke out, but when he was notified, he came running home to save his Juliet, his snake, from the crowds. So he climbed up there, got his unusual pet, and on his climb down, Devin almost tripped and nearly fell off the roof to his death. What a tragic end to Devin and Juliet. But he made it down safely eventually. Snake and Devin came out unscathed. Devin took in Juliet about 5 years ago from an older couple who had raised her from the first 3 years of her life. For food, she eats thawed out rabbits. Do you have a recipe for that?